All right, guys, I'm just gonna introduce myself real quick before we go any further. My name is DJ Rob Swift. For those that don't know who I am, I know I have my students here, my 4 p.m. students. What's up, everybody? But yeah, my name is DJ Rob Swift. I started teaching here at the new school, 2012. The class actually wasn't here in the college though. I was teaching it at Scratch DJ Academy. Then I took like a year hiatus. I went up to Bristol, Connecticut, and I was on a ESPN TV show for like a year, DJing, and the show got canceled, and then New School was like, come on back, we'll let you teach the class again. So I started teaching the class again in 2013, fall, and this year, 2015, this fall class, thanks to Yvonne Rakoff over there in the back. Round of applause to Yvonne. And thanks to Evan Report, I am here actually at the college teaching an intro course in DJing, which blows my mind every time I say it. So I'm really thankful to you, Yvonne, man. Thanks for making this happen. Really appreciate it. And today we are visited by two special guests. First off, I want to introduce a good friend of mine. Our birthdays are on the same day, May 14th. We both like the Mets and we both like the Jets, right? So we have a lot in common, more than anything.
Yeah, you have a brother named John, I have a brother named Rob.
So it's pretty crazy that.
You guys kind of look alike too.
There we go. Oh, God. So his name's John Carluccio. Give it up for John Carluccio. And the reason I brought John in today was because today's lecture with the guy I'm about to introduce in a bit is basically going to cover the origins of DJing. We're going to talk a lot about scratching. And I'm coming at this from a point of view of a DJ, someone who does this stuff. John Carluccio, the way I met him randomly on the C train, I was on my way to Baruch College, on my way to school in the morning. John was like a couple of feet away from me, recognized who I was. By then I was already DJing. I had already entered a lot of DJ competitions. So at least here in New York, I was known. And John recognized me. He was like, Rob Swift. I'm like, yeah, wow, someone recognized me here on the train. This is so cool. And John's like, hey man, like I've been following your work. I know that you battle. I'm a huge fan, he said. And he was like, I'm actually considering working on a documentary about DJing. And I was like, I'd love to be a part of it. And that was back in like 1994, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it was like, the first shoot with you was, 90, like the summer of 94, something like that. With Skids, remember?
Right,
Yeah.
So 21 years later, I'm bringing John to this lecture because I'm worried that there might be things that I might not cover, being that I already do this, that I feel John will fill in the holes for the students that are taking this course and being introduced to this art form for the first time. So John, thanks for coming down.
Thank you.
We'll catch a Met game at some point.
Yes.
And last but certainly not least, the man here in the middle. Wow, this is crazy. GrandWizzard Theodore, give it up for GrandWizzard Theodore. So this week we entered the realm of scratching in my class. I teach two classes here at the new school. There's a 4 p.m. to 5:15 class, and then there's 45-minute break, and then there's another class, 6 p.m. to 7:15. DJ Skills and Styles is the name of the course. And we started off addressing and experimenting and exploring the whole world of mixing, which is basically taking two songs and mixing them together. So song A might be playing at one speed, song B will be playing at a completely different speed, and I taught my students how to match both pitches on the turntable. The pitch is a knob on the turntable, this knob here, that you move from left to right to alter the speed of a song. And I taught my students how to sonically detect whether a song is playing too slow or too fast, and then adjust the speed accordingly. So they practiced that for about 4 weeks. All of them pretty much mastered it. I'm proud of you guys.
Wow.
And in 4 weeks, dude, 4 weeks, crazy. And none of them have turntables at home.
Very good.
So, and this week, we are diving into the realm of scratching, which is coaxing sound out of the turntable that otherwise wouldn't exist if you just let the needle play across the record. Now, it starts to get more inventive, more imaginative, more creative, because they're not just matching the speeds of two songs. Now it's like they're learning a new vocabulary on turntables, and it's a really fun art form. And the guy who invented this style of DJing is right here, GrandWizzard Theodore. So I felt it would be important for him to come speak to my class and everyone else that came to take part in this lecture, just so that you guys have context on what it is that you're learning. As I wrap this up, I just want to say I've been teaching this art form now a long time. Pretty much since I started DJing, I've been teaching it, because friends will ask me, how are you doing that? And I'll bring them up to my dad's turntables and teach them how I was scratching or how I was backspinning. But now with the advent of technology, YouTube, there's DJ schools popping all around the city and across the country. People are learning this art, but they don't have historical context on what they're learning. So what bothers me a lot of times is I see someone, an instructor, for example, on YouTube, explain how to do a baby scratch, and then how to combine the baby scratch into a chirp, and then how to do a transformer. And then they're like, good luck. But the students never understand who invented the baby scratch, why was the baby scratch invented, how to apply the baby scratch, and most importantly, how to personalize all the stuff that pioneers like GrandWizzard Theodore created. So what happens is, yeah, you know how to DJ, but you're not a DJ. And I want my students to become DJs over the course of the semester. So there's that. Real quick, before we move on, I just want to give a big shout to my other student, Immaculate Styles over there. Give it up for Immaculate Styles. Chris, aka Chris, has been a student of mine since November, and he's a beast. He's a beast now, and he's such a beast that like I talked him into DJing pianos with me on the first Sunday of the month. So this Sunday, he and I will be cutting it up, jamming together. Come through, we'll be rocking, and you could, I'm appreciative that you came, Chris, because again, my students get to see a student DJ, and it helps them realize that they have the potential of learning and mastering all this stuff. So thanks for coming through. All right, cool. All right, so let's get on with this lecture. First question that I want to ask you, Theo, is more so it's going to revolve around your background, like where you come from, who are your parents, you know what I mean? Like, where were you born? Like, just give us some background on who you are as a person, not so much the DJ.
Well, I was raised in a single parent home in the Bronx. I got 4 brothers and 2 sisters. And my mother, she's the kind of person where, it's like, she don't argue, she don't fuss, she just starts swinging like Mike Tyson, Dishes not done, she's swinging. Music is too loud, she's swinging. She ruled us with an iron fist, And that's probably one of the things that made me who I am today, because it's very important for parents to teach their kids in the home. Because once they get out in the street, they just they're all over the place, We have a very tight-knit family. It's like, if you come to my house and my mother cook food, it's like everybody has to eat, When she's happy, she's playing music. When she's sad, she's playing music. When she's when she's angry, she's playing music. You know, my moms have different moods, and she's always playing music, and that's what got me to liking music, you know, period, and stuff like that. And the environment that I grew up in is what made me who I am today. I mean, I grew up in an environment where, you know, we walking down the streets and you see abandoned buildings. This building is burnt, that building is burnt. There's so many buildings that's burnt. The government didn't want to put no money back into the Bronx, so it was like the Bronx was burning. It's like,
What year was this around?
that was like, I would say like 1970, 71. And you can walk through the Bronx and just see so many different abandoned buildings because the landlords couldn't get anyone to move inside the buildings. So what they did was they just burned the buildings down and took the insurance money and just pretty much left town. And the government wouldn't put no money back into the community. So basically what we did was we did things to try to take our mind away from everything that was going on around us, whether it be drugs, single parent home, living below the poverty line, going to school but really not learning anything, you know. So all these things were pretty much what children went through, you know, in the South Bronx, and that's when you know, hip hop was born. You know, you got the b-boys that b-boyed in the park so they could release some energy. You have the graffiti artists that did drawings on the wall, drawings on the schools, drawings on the train station to depict how they were feeling, you know. And then you got the MCs that were writing down their feelings on paper, and then once the DJ played music, they would get on the microphone and start, you know, spilling these words out so that they can get whatever's bottled up inside them out. And that's basically how hip hop was born, you know.
You mentioned the DJ. Yeah, a lot of people think like the MC came before the DJ, but it was the
No.
DJ first. Can you explain what the MC's first role might have been in that world? Like before obviously it was all DJ, and then how the MC kind of sneak its way in there.
The MCs would help carry the equipment. The MCs would help give out the flyers when it's time for the DJ to do his events and stuff like that. The DJ pretty much was the backbone of hip hop. I mean, when it was time to do a party, the DJ would call up the graffiti artists, and the graffiti artists would make a flyer for the DJ, and then everybody would help pass out flyers, whether it be, you know, at a fast food restaurant, whether it be at a school, whether it be in the park. It's not unusual to see an MC giving out flyers, or it won't be unusual to see the DJ, you know, passing out flyers and stuff like that. So the MC basically was just a groupie, you know.
Or a hype man. Too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. That's what it basically was, and the DJ is what set the tone for hip hop. Period. You know.
So speaking of the DJ and the DJ's importance, and earlier you also touched on the graph writers, the MCs, the B-boys, the B-girls, the dancers. So you had these different elements of hip hop. What attracted you to the DJing element? Why not? Why isn't GrandWizzard Theodore lecturing about graffiti writing or rapping, or breakdancing? Why? What was it about DJing that attracted you to it?
Well, it's like, you know, I was born into this art form. I was born into this culture of what we call hip hop. I was born into it from day one. It was all around me. You know, like I said, with the b-boys in the streets and the graffiti all over the place, and walking down the street listening to different genres of music, and listening to in the hallway, listening to the MCs freestyling in the hallway, or someone doo-wopping in the hallway and stuff like that. You know, I was basically born into the culture. Now, I used to be a b-boy. You know, when I first got introduced to this culture, to this art form, my brother Mean Gene and Grandmaster Flash were DJs, and that's when I first seen two turntables and a mixer, and I was like, that's what I want to do. So before I got to that stage, I was one of the people, you know, handing out flyers and helping them carry the equipment and going downtown to Downstairs Records and purchasing 45s and bringing it back to them and stuff like that. I was actually a b-boy, but
what was the age difference between you? It was Mean Gene and you.
Yeah, well, Mean Gene is my older brother. I have 4 brothers, and Mean Gene is my older brother. So the age difference between him and I is probably like about 6 years.
And how old were you? Like, how old was he?
I was like about 11 years old.
Okay.
So if I was 11, he was probably like 16 years old.
Okay.
You know, because I'm 21 years old now, you know? So anyway, so it was like, I was a b-boy. And
You guys know what b-boys are, right? Right. Okay.
yeah, so I was a b-boy, and that was my way of getting whatever frustration I had, or being a part of the jam, getting on the floor and b-boying and listening to the music, and the music is just like going through me. So b-boying was a way for me to how can I say, you know, get through the music. I mean, once you feel the music, you start b-boying and you start being a part of it. So my way of being a part of it at that time was being a b-boy. So like circumstances beyond my control, I sprayed my arm, you know? So once I sprayed my arm, I was in the cast for like 3 months. So those 3 months that I was in the cast, I was like, I don't want to be a b-boy no more, you know?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And what I used to do is, like, my mother had a coffin. It's a big, long coffin. In front of the coffin is a television. And when you open the coffin up and look inside, it's a turntable and a radio.
When you say
Right?
coffin, you talk about
Yeah.
It's like an actual coffin.
Yeah. I mean, we'll call coffins because it was a wooden box, and it had the television in front. And when you lift it up and look inside, it was a turntable and a radio and everything. You know, mother had 8 tracks in there and her little 45s in there. And I used to play the 45s. And when the 45 got to the break part, which is the get down part, which is the best part of the record, with a drummer, you know, get busy, I used to skip the needle back on the 45 instead of just playing the record and playing it all the way through. When it got to my favorite part of the record, I used to skip the needle back and keep skipping it back to the break part. Now I could be there for hours just skipping the needle back to the break part, not knowing that I was developing a DJ style, that I was teaching myself a DJ style called the needle drop. So once I got on the big turntables, the needle drop style was basically already there, you know? Because I learned a long time ago that everybody was given a gift, you know? And I truly believe that my gift was to be a DJ, you know? Everybody in this room has a gift. It's just up to you to, what are you going to do with that gift, and how are you going to use that gift to make your contribution to this world, you know?
Real
And
quick, if I can interrupt you, Theo.
Yeah.
So the break part of a record,
yeah.
I brought some record. I actually brought 5 records today. We're just gonna examine that real quick. So this is a song called "Funky Drummer" by James Brown. Remember, back then in the 70s, hip hop wasn't what you guys would consider hip hop now. So it's not like James Brown was rapping over sampled beats. Hip hop was whatever genre of music you were placing on that turntable, and it made it hip hop by what you were doing to that record. So you could take, I have a variety of records here. I have Disco, Good Times by Chic. I have Rock, Tom Sawyer, Rush. What else I have here? And I have Jazz, Bob James, Take Me to Mardi Gras. Three genres of music,
Yeah.
but Theo and Grandmaster Flash and Africa Bambaataa made it hip hop by what they were doing to the record. So with regards to the break part, a break part would be, this is the song, this is probably the part that like Theo's mom would get down to, and your mom's sisters and brothers and all that. But the part that stood out for GrandWizzard Theodore was the part where the music would break down and it would just be the drums. It's like the climactic part in a lot of these songs. So here's an example. So it's James Brown is kind of leading you up to that break part, and kids like Theo would like always anticipate that part coming in. And this is what it sounds like. I'm gonna play the instrumental version real quick, just so you can hear the
Wow. That was so cool.
Here it is. So this would be the break part on Funky Drummer. Here we go. And you're saying that you would take the needle, being that you only had one turntable in the coffin, you would take the needle, lift it up, and bring it back to the break part, because you didn't have two turntables.
Exactly. Yes.
Got it.
Yes. And not knowing from doing it from so many different records, doing it for so many years, I didn't know that I was developing the needle drop style. And then once I got on the big turntables, the needle drop style was like. Right there, you know?
I mean, I have tons of DJs, and some of the biggest lessons were the best DJs learned on some of the worst systems, because it developed. They had to be so sensitive with their hands that when they went on techniques, they were just so light-fingered, you know. And that's exactly it, right?
Yeah,
just like you worked on your mom's turntable, then when you want to get to, well, did you have 1200? What was the equipment that you
we some of the turntables that we used were like Kenwood turntables. These turntables were like half wood, half plastic, and half, I don't know what metal this is. I don't think this metal was even existed. You know, this is some metal from Mars, whatever. But you know, I think these different companies were trying to make the perfect turntable, but they couldn't because the DJ was still trying to evolve. And I think in order to make the perfect turntable, they had to wait until the perfect DJ almost came along. So it got to the point where the techniques came out. And then once the techniques came out, that was like a brand new Cadillac, you know? Cadillacs is gonna, you know, they're gonna resell themselves over and over again. So once the techniques came out, that's what everybody started to buy, because they were so durable. You can drop them on the floor, you can drop them down the steps, or a beer spill on them, or whatever, Boone's Farm wine, whatever wine was out back in those days. You know, they were still able to, you know, use them and stuff like that. So
the needle dropping though, were you trying to repeat something you had seen before, or just musically you had seen someone else do this before? Was there one DJ that you particularly liked at that point in time?
No, it was just that it was my favorite part of the record. So in order for me to listen to my favorite part of the record over and over again, just pick the needle up and drop it back to the part. Whether the break part might be at the beginning of the record. So I'm sitting there for hours and hours just lifting the needle to the break part of the beginning of the record over and over and over again, not knowing that I was developing a style, you know.
Real quick, John, you touched on something that all my students are suffering through, which is having to adjust to the delicateness of the turntable. So when you guys are scratching or queuing up the one, up until Monday, I'm sure that there were times that you queue up, rewind like I asked you guys to, and then you have it ready, and they might skip on you. Same thing that happened with Theodore. And in it skipping, it might be frustrating, but what's happening is you're developing a sensitivity, a touch to the turntables that you will not get if I was to teach you guys with laptops from jump. So a lot of students that I see at like other schools, they're great on laptops, and you give them records, and they're like very heavy-handed and doofy, you know, and everything is just kind of the needles jumping all over the place because they haven't developed that delicateness. And that's why I always say approach the turntable like with surgeon's hands. You want to be delicate enough to not make the needle jump, but forceful and have enough control to where you could still move the record and make it do what you want it to do. And that's a rite of passage that all DJs have to experience. And eventually, when you guys do get on the laptops, you'll see that issue will disappear. You won't have to worry about stuff skipping anymore. So cool. Let's move on. What I'd like to know now is, so you were actually a b-boy. Your brother Mean Gene, your older brother, was a DJ, and he was partners with Grandmaster Flash, right?
Yeah, they were also b-boys too.
Wow.
They were
So
b-boys.
breakdance.
They used to be b-boys until they started DJing. So they were DJs and b-boys.
Right. That's sick. So let me ask you this. I know that you were, it's acknowledged in the record books that you were a student of Grandmaster Flash's. Like I've heard Flash say that you were a student of his. Is that true?
Well, I wouldn't say a student. I would say like it's like if we are all here in this room and we are learning how to cook, you know. If I cook if I cook macaroni and cheese and then you cook macaroni and cheese, that macaroni and cheese is gonna probably be different, right? I'm not gonna teach you how to do the macaroni and cheese. You're not gonna teach me. It's just that you do your mac and cheese, I do my mac and cheese, and we keep it moving. You know. I got so much respect for Grandmaster Flash and stuff like that. He's like a brother to me. But you know, when people interview us, it's like they get the stories twisted. They're trying to put me and him against each other and stuff like that, you know. My skills as a DJ was like, I was self-taught as a DJ, you know. No one sat me down and said, okay, you do this, you do that, this is what you do, this is what you do. That definitely wasn't the case. I've watched my brother, Mean Gene, and Grandmaster Flash, I've watched them turn the music on, turn the music off. I've watched them search for records. I've watched them, you know, hook equipment up and stuff like that. But no one has ever sat me down and says, okay, Theodore, this is what you do. You do this, you do that. No one has never sat me down and actually did that for me. I basically, you know, learned on my own. I discovered that I needed to have my own style of DJing and not sound like anybody else, you know?
Let me ask you this. Is it fair to say that Flash influenced you?
Oh yes, definitely. Him, Flash, and my brother Mean Gene, they definitely influenced me because once I seen the two turntables in the mixer, I was like, that's what I want to do. And I truly believe if I wouldn't have seen them with two turntables in the mixer, I don't think that I would be doing what I'm doing right now, you know.
Right.
Which is totally different from anybody sitting down and say, okay, you're my student, you're my teacher. Go get me a glass of water, wax on, wax off. Put your coat on, take your coat off. You know, how do you go through all that with them?
Right,
you know,
right.
It was just that I watched them. You know, like I watched them gather 45s. I watched them hook equipment up. I watched them Flash actually come up with the queuing system. I watched them go through so many different equipments and stuff like that. But no one has actually sat me down and taught me how to DJ because everybody was still learning themselves. Flash was still learning. My brother Mean Gene was still learning. We were still trying to learn an art form that we couldn't really figure out how far it was going. We couldn't really figure out, was we doing it right? Wow. You know, we didn't even know that the art form was going to change the world. We was just doing something that we loved. We didn't care what the outcome was. We didn't care if we was getting paid for it. We didn't care if we was getting recognition for it. We was just doing something that you love. Now, if you do something that you love, I was told if you do something that you love, that you will never work a day in your life, you know. And myself, I've been around the world like 3 times around the world, you know. I've been to Kuwait, I've been to Afghanistan, I've been places where the mosquitoes is the size of in a camera, you know. I've gone places where you couldn't even go unless you got a needle and stuff like that, and you know. And I don't like needles, you know. So
That's all from DJing.
all from DJing.
Right.
You know, and you know, I'm just very happy to be a part of something that's bigger than I am, you know.
Right.
And it's just so surreal.
What was the okay? would you say there was like a lot of kids like you in the Bronx that were trying to figure things out, or was there a few bunch of kids that were like, I'm trying to figure out how popular it was. I know there was a lot of success, but was it every other kid was trying to be getting into hip hop? Was it that popular, or was it just like a few people started doing it really well?
Well, it was like you had all the elements. You had some people that were so good at graffiti. Oh man. Then you had a lot of people that was really, really good at b-boying, you know?
Okay.
And then you had a lot of people that was so good at MCing and writing rhymes and putting words together and stuff like that. And then you had people that were on the, doing the beatbox and stuff like that. And then you had DJs and stuff like that. So being that there was so many elements in hip hop, everything was pretty much separated, you know? Mm-hmm. If you had 100 people, you might have 30 people that's into DJ, and then you might have 10 people that's a graffiti artist, and then you might have 15 people that's b-boying. So everything was basically divided up. But as time started to go by, you start to see, MCs becoming DJs, and some DJs becoming MCs, and some b-boys becoming DJs. So it was like,
it all came together.
Yeah, everything started to come together. So I couldn't really say if they were more of this or any more of that. But after the DJs got so popular, the MCs got so popular, it was like, I ain't being no b-boy no more, rolling around on the floor and my clothes is all dirty and
job security.
And and the DJs are walking by, they all clean and they their suits and stuff like that. So as time went by and we started to mature as people, as men. We started to, to think to ourselves, is this what we want to do? This art form is starting to mutate. It's starting to develop. It's something starting to happen and stuff like that. So, I got up one day and was like, wow, something started to happen, because I started doing parties. I was still in school, and I remember falling asleep in class, and my teacher was like, oh, Mr. Livingston, you're always falling asleep in my class. You're not gonna be anything, And so it was like
in high school, how much of the other high school students knew of your success, or was it anonymous? Were you kind of
a lot of students really didn't know who I was, because I was the kind of person where my mother said, look, go to school, get an education, and you can do whatever you want to do. So I was basically trying to get through school because, I was the kind of person where I sat and watched everybody, I watched people, go to school and then drop out, and then, their life went another way, or people becoming fathers at 14 and 15 years old and dropping out of school, and I'm watching the direction of their life, and people getting into drugs and watching their life go a certain way, and people started breaking the law, and I started to see which way their life was going, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't make the same mistakes as those people. And I had 4 brothers, and they wasn't no good influence on me. They was a really bad influence on me and stuff like that.
So you figured it out.
So I wanted to go to school and get my education, graduate, and just keep moving on.
Well, on that note, you referenced your mom. And it's widely known that your mom indirectly inspired you to start scratching. So if you don't mind, if you could just kind of give us just a description of that day. What happened when you came across this technique of coaxing sound out of the record?
Wow. I was 12 years old in 1975. That makes me, 21? My last year of junior high school, my principal played music in a lunchroom. I don't know how he did it. I think he took a microphone and took a little small boombox and put the microphone in front of the speakers, and he played music through the loudspeakers. So when you're in the lunchroom eating lunch, breadsticks or pizza, whatever it is, he was playing music. And people got tired of listening to the music that he was playing. Like, most of the music he played was like disco music and it was really, really far out there. Anyway, a friend of mine's convinced my principal to let me make a cassette tape. So my principal said, okay, make a cassette tape. I'll listen to it to make sure that the music is not, derogatory or anything like that. So I went home to make the best cassette tape I ever made in my life. Now, in order for me to do this, I had to take a big boom box and put it in front of the speaker and press record. Because we didn't have tape decks or tape machines to record our music. Everything was recorded through a boom box.
Which had a speaker just on board. It's not like plugged in.
Yeah, so I went home, started moving and grooving to the cassette, and the music that we owned was in my mother's house. And like I told you guys earlier, I got the kind of mother where she doesn't raise her voice, she doesn't argue, she just starts swinging like Mike Tyson, So I'm in the house, I'm making my cassette, the music is loud, I'm really, really grooving to it, and bam, she busts in the room. I'm like, oh man. I thought I was gonna get a black eye before I finished my cassette tape. I don't know, she must have been feeling good that day. She said, look, either you turn the music down or you turn the music off. When she came in the room, those couple of seconds seemed like an eternity. She like startled me. I mean, my hair went up. Well, I had hair back then. And the mixer that I was using, the mixers that we use today go from left to right.
Crossfader.
Yeah, the crossfaders go from left to right. If you're on the right side, you're on the right turntable. If you're on the left side, you're on the left turntable. But the mixers that we had back in the early days were up and down. They went up and down. So when my mother came and busted in the room, she kind of startled me. So both levers on the mixer went up, which means that I can hear both records at the same time. So one record was getting ready to go off, and it was time for me to mix the next record in. Now, one of the things about making a cassette tape is that the cassette tape can go 45 minutes on each side. So you could be 30 minutes into a cassette tape and make one mistake, and you have to stop it and rewind it and go all the way back to the beginning. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to keep going. So in order for me to keep going, what I did was I did a baby scratch. I pulled the music down, did a baby scratch, and played the next record. My mother left the room, and I finished my cassette, and I rewinded it back. And when it got to the part where she came in the room, I could hear myself doing the baby scratch. I was like, wow. It's like a light went off, like a blue light. Well, it was a light anyway. And I was like, wow, I can incorporate that into all the other things that I do as a DJ. Because as a DJ, I want to be different. I don't want to sound like anybody else. I want to sound like GrandWizzard Theodore. I don't want to sound like this person. I don't want to sound like that person. I want people to be able to come in a party and be like, this guy has his own style, So what I did was, after I heard the baby scratch on the cassette, I was like, wow, I need to expand a little bit more in this. So what I did was, I practiced like another couple of hours with different records and different genres of music. Like I probably did a jazz record. I grabbed the Aerosmith record, and after I did that, I was like, wow, I think I really got this down pat. And that's how I became the scratch. I was 12 years old in 1975, and that's the year that I created the scratch. And that makes me.
Was that considered would a scratch be considered a mistake before that point? Like, would it sound like ooh, that you wouldn't want that in the mix? Was anyone doing anything like that at that time? Was there anyone doing were there little rubs or little things like that that might have been okay in a mix?
Yes.
Oh.
When you're DJing, right, and you're queuing a record up in the earphones, everybody's dancing to the record. When you get ready to drop the next record in, you are in the earphones. And in the earphones, you're queuing the record up. And when you're queuing the record up, you might be rubbing the record back and forth and back. But nobody hears this but you. Even the people on the dance floor doesn't hear you queuing the record up back and forth and back, which is considered a baby scratch. basically what I did was I made sure that everybody hear me cueing the record up and gave it a rhythm and gave it a name, and that's what made me, that's what make it different,
Right.
So I just basically took what people were already doing, I took it to another level.
Yes, that's just super interesting, because another way of putting it is DJs that were playing out in the parks, in clubs, like you said, you had to pick the needle up, place it on the record, and then find the beginning of the song, and that forces you to move the record back and forth. No one stopped to think, wait, there's something here, except you. You were like, I'm not gonna just settle for doing this in my headphones. This sounds pretty cool, I could perfect it, and I'm gonna do it out in the open for people to hear me moving the record over the music that's playing out of the speakers, which was, if you would have just followed suit like every other DJ and decided I'm not gonna scratch on the outside of the speakers,
Right.
we wouldn't be here today. Or maybe it would be some other guy that would have probably did it, I don't know.
Yeah, probably would have been. Yeah.
But let me ask you this, with that, when you first did it, when you first actually decided, all right, now I'm gonna let people hear this scratching sound, was it on a mixtape? Was it in public? Was it at a party? And how did people react?
It was at a block party because in the summertime, all the DJs in the city do block parties all summer long to remind people that, that they still around. And once it gets cold and people start partying on the inside and the DJ start giving out flyers, you'd be like, oh wow, I bet you this guy's block party. He has a nice system. He's playing good music. I will go to his party and stuff like that, And when I first did the scratch in the park, it's just like it electrified everybody. It electrified the b-boys. It electrified everybody that was in the party dancing, because it's like you have a favorite record and you know that record from the beginning to the end. And basically what I did was I took a certain part of the record and started scratching it back and forth and forth and back, and everybody in the crowd was like, wait a minute, what's going on? It was like something new to the ears. So everybody was like, what's going on? So everybody just like, some people came to the front of the turntables to see what I was doing, and other people inside the party was just dancing and having a good time and stuff like that. And that was one of those moments when I said, something's definitely about to happen.
Right.
I can feel myself getting to the next level in life. I can feel myself taking my skills to the next level, because I wanted to try to stay 2-3 steps ahead of DJs. So I know a lot of DJs went home that night and tried to do what I did.
That was my next
and
question.
Just started breaking stuff up and everything. Because DJs were like, when I first heard you scratch in the park, I went home and tried to do it. I couldn't do it. Started breaking the needles, the record scratch and everything, So it was,
That's a very common thing. A lot of DJs I interviewed, like Jazzy J told me that. He said, first time he heard a scratch was you, and then the second time he heard a scratch was him trying to do your scratch. So that's a lot of the DJs learn from each other constantly. It's an amazing community where people are really always trying to build off the last guy. And even though it's very competitive,
definitely.
it's still very, very, I don't know, you can get into it. It's much more like there's a lot of people working together.
Yeah. Just like I work with you guys. It's the same thing. And the whole point, I feel, for me, my overall goal with this is to create as many DJs, like a DJ army, as possible. That's really what I want to do. Because now with technology, there's people that go to Guitar Center, they buy a controller and a laptop, and they're pressing buttons, and they're like, all right, so I'm a DJ. And some of these people you see in festivals with their hands in the air, they're never dropping on a one, they're never mixing, and they're getting paid $50,000 to $100,000, and they're like swindling you guys. They're not even, you guys are probably more technically sound in this art form than a lot of the people that you see DJing on TV at festivals. So my thing is, yes, to teach the art so that then you guys master it and then you teach it to other people and it keeps growing, and we could offset the fake DJs out there. So with that, my question to you, Theo, is you invented scratching, or you're the one that like basically was like, there's something here, it became the scratch, and it got popular. Obviously, we're at the new school lecturing about scratching, right? So who would you say were the DJs after you that started to expand your technique of scratching that you first noticed? Obviously, there's guys like WizKid, Davey DMX.
Yes.
But who before that generation, like before, like let's say the mid '80s, would you say you could think of now? You could point to and be like, this guy, that guy, expanded on your technique of moving the record back and forth and making a sound.
There's so many DJs that really didn't get there. They just doing stuff like that. You know, like you said, WizKid, and then you got Mastodon and the Def Committee, you know, from Manhattan. Then you got Dougie Fresh's DJ, Barry B, you know.
And let me ask you this: what was it about them? What was it that they were doing technically on the record that made you notice, wow, they're taking what I did to the next level? Because I'm sure there are people scratching just like you, and you're like, oh, well, he sounds like me. But what is it about Mastodon and Barry B at the time that impressed you?
I think what impressed me was their energy, because you can go to a party and the DJ could just be standing there, you know, playing records, you know, checking his Facebook page and stuff like that, and his Twitter and stuff like that. Or you can go to a party and the DJ is he's bopping back and forth to the music, and it makes you want to party more. If I go to a party and the DJ is just standing there, and that's not gonna make me want to stay. I went to a party and Paris Hilton was playing, and it's like she spotted me and she turned the music off. It was like, why don't you come up here and play some music? I was like, nah, I ain't playing on no controllers. I need some turntables, honey. Oh no, so she was just standing there, and I was like looking at her like, is she gonna move to the music? She was just raising her hands in the air and like you said, and just turning knobs, and she turned the music off and told everybody I was there and invited me to come up on the stage and do like a 15-20 minute set. I was like, oh no. I was like, I had too much to drink, but I don't drink.
Follow up on that is like, was there a DJ that you saw after you initiated this that you're like, oh man, he's really maybe surpassed me, or he's really, wow. I'm like, this is like, because it takes obviously a technical ability, but every generation is that's easy. Now I can do this and I can do that, and like, well,
like I said, a lot of the Manhattan DJs, because we spent a lot of time in Manhattan, and a lot of the Manhattan DJs spent a lot of time in the Bronx. So we were basically, interjecting with each other. And like, when I see Barry B, or Dougie Fresh's DJ, it's like, every time I see these guys, their skills were getting better and better and better. And their energy was getting better and better. Their scratches were getting faster. Their patterns were getting more patterns that I didn't even know existed. Then you got Mastodon. His patterns were like, I was like, wow, these guys' patterns are getting faster. They're getting more, they were not scared to explore different scratches and stuff like that. Yep. They were thinking about new patterns that I didn't think existed. And I was like, wow, these guys are taking the art form that I created and like really taking it to another level with these patterns and this energy. I was like, wow. I need to go home and practice myself, so.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Real quick, something I want to touch on before I want to open it up for you guys to ask questions, so start thinking of stuff you may want to ask Theo. But on that point, not to single out Maria, but on Monday, we were going over your baby scratch, just moving the record back and forth, right? So it's basically just trying to get you guys comfortable with moving back and forth on beat. And we were also practicing the forward scratch, which is just giving me the forward sound, but not coming back. And at the end of the class, Maria's there like, zoning out, practicing her scratches. And to your point, what I feel happened with you, Maria, Monday was, so what Master Don and Barry B were to Theodore, you were to me on Monday, because I would have been happy with you guys just moving the record back and forth. It would. But you were giving me a completely different rhythm, and it was on beat. And it was just like a really cool, like, it went, instead of it went like the generic standard.
Wow.
You were giving me a rhythm, and that's the whole point with these scratches that I want you. Yeah, but that's the whole point, guys. Is I'm gonna be saying this over and over and over and over again. Everything that I teach you, don't just settle for mastering it the way I teach it. Because the whole point of this art form is to learn it and then personalize whatever it is that I'm teaching you. So Maria personalized the baby scratch. She completely made it hers by just changing the rhythm of the way it sounded.
So cool.
And so whereas Master Don and Barry B did that back then,
Yes.
that's what I want you guys to do now. And you're probably thinking in your head like, how am I gonna do that? But you can. You gotta it's all mindset. It's all right, Rob taught it this way. What if I do this? Just ask questions. And don't be worried about being perfect on the first try or sounding silly. Because sometimes it could be the silliest of movements that could create the coolest sound. All right, so I'm glad that you raised that question, and John, that was good.
I have a request. Now, I know you have Apache up here.
I do.
And Apache was the record. You told me right. What was the record that you?
Yes, it was Apache. Yes, it was Apache.
Can you play Apache and find that portion that was the first scratch?
Oh yeah, sure.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah. Right there. Okay, your mom, so hold your hand on the record, right? Can someone please, we need someone to be like, all right, so your mom comes in, right? Here we go, right? So
Here's a recreation.
You're
gonna need some rollers in your hair.
So you're vibing to it, right? And then all of a sudden, your mom comes in, right? What are you doing with your hands at that time?
Well, when my moms came in, I kind of froze.
Okay.
So
this record was still playing.
Yeah.
Okay.
This record was playing.
Right.
This record was playing and it was getting ready to go off.
Same record, you think? Might have been.
Yeah. This record was getting ready to go off. And when she came in the room,
She's like,
yeah.
what do you do?
And I just froze.
Okay.
And she was like, what are you doing? And I'm like, so she said, turn the music down or turn the music off.
Okay.
So basically what I did was I was just, and then she left the room.
Right.
And then I just kept going.
And then you played back the tape.
Yes. And I was like, wow.
And where's that tape now?
That's a good question. I actually gave the tape to my principal, and he waited 2 days. He waited 2 days before he actually played it. I don't know if he went home or he tried to do the eBay, or eBay wasn't out. Yeah, that would be cool, right?
You gotta crack down there.
So I don't know if he tried to make a copy of it, but he finally played it because people were in the lunchroom waiting for him to play. So he waited 2 days. So he played it and people were like, wow, it's really, really cool. So that's when people started to realize who I was, because I came to school, we would probably do a party on a Wednesday night or a Tuesday night, and I would come to school and my eyes are red and I'm just tired in class, and it is what it is, so. And the funny thing about it is that I saw my principal, I saw him and his family, I think it was like 93, 94, I was going to Germany. It was like 92, 93, I was going to Germany because there was this company that was just starting out called Red Bull.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, me, myself, and Ken Swift from the Rocksteady crew. He was like, yo, there's this company that's coming out. They got this new energy drink. It's called Red Bull. They want us to come out to Germany and do a couple of parties for them. I was like, what the heck, you know? So it was weird because when I got to the airport, I seen my principal and he was with his family. They was like wheeling him in a wheelchair practically because he was really old. So I was trying to sit back and explain to him who I was, and he was like, wow, now I remember you, you know? So I was like, where's my cassette tape?
Awesome. All right. What final words would you impart, not just on everyone here, but specifically my students that are taking this class, this intro to DJing class? What would you tell them as they progress on through the semester, as they're learning scratching? What words of advice do you have for them?
Just have fun. Just have fun with it. Learn the history. Learn the history of the b-boy. Learn the history of the graffiti artist. Learn the history of the DJ. Learn the history of the hip hop art form. And
Why?
Because it'll make you better as an artist. It'll make you better as a person. It'll help you understand more where it came from. How it came from nothing. Like I said earlier, we were doing this to get away from the everyday problems that we might have had, whether it be drugs and abandoned buildings and stuff like that, So it'll just make you better at what you do. It'll make you understand it more. It'll make you people that's in the party, it'll make you want to make sure that they have more fun, because someone might come to the party, they might be like, wow, I lost my job today, man. Let me just go out to the club and just try to dance and have a good time. So when they come to your party, one of you guys will be DJing at a club, y'all might just make someone's day. That person might want to go home and drown themselves. But after they came to the party and hear you do your DJ set, they probably decided that, hey, there's more to life. I can go a little bit further in life. Maybe there's a different chapter for me, Because everything in life happens for a reason. Whether it be good or whether it be bad. Everything happens for a reason. Like when you go do a party, you don't want to just be a hip-hop DJ. You want to be a hip-hop DJ, a jazz DJ, a salsa DJ, man. I play all that. I play techno, I play Motown, I'll do a bar mitzvah, I'll do all of these different genres of music. So when you guys start DJing and once you learn the art form, make sure that you do all genres of music. We call it open genre. If you don't know about techno, get into house, get into break beats, get into R&B, get into Motown, get into country western. Get into all genres of music, and it'll keep you working. And it'll get you to learn more about other people, other cultures. I mean, I remember going to Korea and going to Japan and going to different parts of the world and trying different cultures of food and stuff like that, and sitting down with people and learning their culture and they learning my culture. That's what it's all about. That's what hip hop is for. It's for peace, love, unity, and having fun. It's for all of us to come together as one, because we all live under the sun. There's a reason why we all live under the sun. So we all have to make sure that we all try to learn about each other's, culture,
Well, clap your hands for what he's doing. so, your mom